little glare to this side. Over. It's so weird doing everything backwards. Anyways, because I'm leaving the blinds open for better light. But there we go. Good afternoon, Sir Duck. Good to see you guys got home, David, Terry, and let's see, Donnie, and going through everybody. And I take it, click with Rick or whatever, shtick with Rick is Rick Deans. There we go, Hillbilly Bobby. Hope everything's well. I heard you went back to Illinois. And we go through, and Larry's in there, and Glenn's in there. And then we got Steve Wiggins, sorry, Dave. Happy first day of spring. Yeah, it's 105 degrees, dude. Happy Friday, Ed. And let's see, Dwayne. I don't know who Dwayne is. I am Wayne. Another Friday with Wayne. There we go. Yes, it is 105 right now. It's miserable. Let's just put it that way. It came up too fast. It's March. What is this triple digit stuff? So, I did not get a shower. I did not shave. I just came into this thinking it was just too hot today. Too much. I'll be back Tuesday. Well, you're here with us now, Bobby. So it's that time of year. Well, we're in early this year, man. So everybody need to go with a new hairstyle and everything for the summer and heat and whatnot. And I don't know. I'm not ready for it. So, man, that is a bit too much glare on my face. Hey, Trevor. Oh, Trevor. Get someone to adjust the blinds. But that being said and done, we are less than a week out from my lecture at the Superstition Mountain Museum, which will be next Thursday, the 26th at 2 p.m. It'll be a mild and gentle, what is it, supposed to be 90 degrees. So it's not going to be that. Okay, well, Terry had something to say and then had nothing to say. See, I'm not quick enough to catch those things. So if you say something really fast and then retract it, I can't catch it. So I'm going to try to get Trevor in here to see if he'll pay attention. At least he'll say hello to everybody. And we'll see if he answers his text. Jax did. Jax, can you adjust the blinds? You are a smart dog. Can you adjust the blinds? Yes, go adjust the blinds. Good dog, adjust the blinds. He's doing it. Nope, he looked out the blinds and then he came back. Okay, well, go get Trevor. There we go. Hopefully that's how it works. 90 here after 2 days in the 20. Oh, that's what makes it rough is, yeah, it's like cold and then it's so hot. And then you're just like, what happened? I don't know. 20s to 90s, that'd be rough. That would be rough. Well, unfortunately for you, I have a feeling this high pressure or whatever's over here is going to drift east and everybody's going to get hit with this. And that's going to really, really suck for everybody. Sorry, I'm going to miss. Well, it will go well. It may not go well, but it's always recorded there for you to go back and see where it went. Gilgold prospecting in San Antonio. Why does it say San Diego, Antonio, Texas? Why are you in San Diego's Antonio? That is a tongue twister. Thought you were in San Antonio, Texas. Now you've changed. Where every day is a golden day. So his work's been demanding. It's so demanding. Well, it is. If you got to walk across the shop from San Antonio to San Diego, that is rough. 98 in Texas, 100 tomorrow. Yeah, well, we have 105, and I don't even know if it's worse elsewhere. I'm sure it is here, but it is just ridiculous. Let's see, has anybody? Oh, Yuma's got 108, so Yuma does have us today. They usually do, but yeah, 108 degrees. 105 is ridiculous for March. It's the end of March. It's too much, too soon. So there we go. Heat is my best friend. Okay. Oops. Okay. Wayne, can you teach me How to be more like you. No, it's not teachable. It's a genetic thing. Even though Trevor doesn't have the right genes, I don't think. To be me is to be you is one of a kind. You should always just be yourself. There you go. That's about as much wisdom as I can spout today. 102 at Ocotillo Hills. My color TV, and it's after. Okay, well, I hope you get your color TV. We had heavy frost early. We've not had a frost this year that I can remember. We got a little bit of rain, but it's never been cool this winter. We've just had a warm winter. 74 here today, 80 Sunday. Yeah, that's what it was crazy to me. I see the snow in the northeast and stuff, and all the cold weather everywhere. And then I'm just like, wow. I think he's AI. Well, are all of us AI? Are we just in a what is it? Some sort of matrix? Or just a big video game playing over and over? Maybe suck whoever gets me. Now we're just getting temperatures all over the valley. It's a Janis Joplin song. Okay. I'll start picking up smoking. It's a bad idea. You shouldn't smoke. You should give it up. Give it up before you start. It's a bad habit. It's probably the habit. I enjoy it, but it's a habit I wish I hadn't started. And God, I don't even want to add how long I've been smoking. I did quit once. Now, here, this is interesting for everybody. A guy named Art and I made a bet because he said I couldn't stop smoking. And I can be very competitive. So I quit smoking. And the idea was whoever won gave the other guy $50. This is years and years ago. So we both quit smoking. I bought a bag of suckers, lollipops, So, and Tootsie Pops, and that's pretty much what I lived on. And 2 weeks in, I thought I was doing all right. I've been 2 weeks. I hadn't had a cigarette, nothing, no cigar, nothing, and because we made rules. And then we're sitting around because we worked together, and he turned to me and he gave me $50, and I said, "Oh, damn." I said, "I thought we were doing so good." And he looked me in the eye and said, "I didn't even make it through the first day. I just kept waiting for you to break." And he said, "I couldn't believe it." And then he walked away. And I took my $50 and bought a carton of cigarettes. I should have not at that time because I was like literally completely weaned off of them. I had no desire. But the fact that I could have been smoking the whole time, I only had to hold out for 1 day. I could not believe it. So, but yes, Art paid for my next carton. Have you explored the Miller Tunnel Spring 1 site? Northwest of Lost Dutch Canyon, 2 massive tunnels on the ground. Are you talking... Okay, Miller and that stuff. Is it northeast or is it south? It's down Tortilla. I thought because he's buried there. I'm trying to think with Lost Dutch Canyon where you make the turn to go down. I thought that was to the south of it. I need a map right now because I keep in my mind thinking to go down Lost Dutch Canyon. Maybe, no, is it? I thought it's to the south of Lost Dutch Canyon before you cut across to Lost Dutch Canyon and you go south there to the Miller Mines. I've been there. I've been to where he was buried. I got pictures. I think I went with Greg Davis. And we went down. There was a marker at that time still. He's buried in cement there. Man, well, if Trevor ever comes in to close the blinds, I'll have him grab me the book. Grab me a book with a map in it, because I keep thinking as I go into Tortilla and I park, and then I go, to go to the Miller Mines, I would go further south and then east and Lost Dutch Canyon, because that takes me to Mystic Camp into Fish Creek. So, maybe the heat got to me, but I have been there. There you go. Your latest creation has thrilled your subscribers. Okay. Well, there. Oh, Lord, won't you buy me a color TV? Oh, Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? Okay, Wayne, do you know where I can find info on ruins in the city other than Rogers Canyon and Hieroglyphic? I don't think most of those are. Dutch hunters will have those on maps and stuff, but no, I don't know of a map or anything specific. It's weird because I don't know of anything particular publicly that has all that information. I know there's people have privately created documents for that stuff for Dutch hunters, where we all know where different ruins are because there's ruins up by Tortilla, up by Lost Dutch Canyon, a lot of them. But I don't know one have made to the public like that. So that's what I can say on that. You might try. Jack Carlson's book would have some in it here and there. There's Robert Porch. Hope you're working, Robert. Hope you found a job closer to home. Great job, Wayne. You're doing excellent. Have a cigarette. I don't smoke in the house. The Miller site, hillside, makes a giant candy cane shape. I follow it to the end of the hook, 2 tunnels there. Why don't you have maps on the wall? Because I have guitars. I've never had maps on the walls. Why do I need maps on the walls? There used to be photographs in other states. There was memorabilia. There was all kinds of cool stuff in here. And it just changes over the years. And then I finally, long before I started doing this, I kind of changed the whole look of the room. One of the problems was when I'm playing in here, everything vibrates, and the more pictures, things I had on the walls. So in the other room now, there's DeGrazias and all kinds of stuff on the walls and stuff of the superstitions and all. And we did have a map, an older map, like one of these really old maps of the superstitions in a frame out there. But no, I've never been one. I wanted to do it in the garage, but I generally know where everything is or if I'm out there, so I don't necessarily need to look at the maps. We quarantine Dad and his hair when it gets 100 degrees. Yeah, well, you should. He's 96. Yeah, 96. You shouldn't be out there with the metal detector. There is a massive alien base anomalies in Goat Canyon deep in the superstitions. Okay. Then we just go off the rail. I really don't think there's any aliens. Because they're generally south of Phoenix. Once they get to Phoenix, they wouldn't go in the superstitions. They'd stay out in the desert. Yeah. They usually just kind of aim to try to get into Tucson, if you get my drift. Do you know how Treasure Hill near Second Water got its name? Because someone thought there was treasure in there. That's usually why just guys name stuff. It was guys just name things. Treasure Hill. There's a lot of places in the mountains that have names that I found out aren't really names. I've never understood Yellow Peak because Yellow Peak is just the peak, not the mountain. So it's not Yellow Peak Mountain. It's just Yellow Peak on that particular mountain by Black Mesa. There's a lot of strange names, and then I've gotten better, but there was things like I would be very confused with Black Mountain because it was always Charlie Boy Mountain, and now it's Black Mountain. But I think it's this something happens. The Treasure Hill I know of is actually going into First Water. It's on the north side of First Water Road. And that was Treasure Hill because they dug a gold bar out of it. And I don't know if you can really even see it anymore. You used to be able to see where they dug with a bulldozer or a backhoe on the one side. And that was Dan Hopper saw it. And I saw a picture of it once. But yeah, they got a gold bar out of there, and then they tore up the rest of the hill and didn't find anything. So I didn't know much more about the story. I heard it from Dan, and I know Randy and I went out and looked at it and couldn't, there was nothing else to the story. So it's like, you just dig the whole hill up, which they partially did. And I don't know who was it that did the digging. I just knew Dan Hopper knew the story and told me the story. Your hair is looking more greasy than usual. Great job. Well, it shouldn't be, because it should be sweaty and crunchy. So I'm glad you're trolling it, but there it is. Well, it's very shimmering, almost angelic-like over here. There you go. I will grab coordinates. 14 minutes in, and it's already a wild ride in the chat. Well, David, there's just people that just can't help themselves. From Dogie Springs, the two tunnels are south 3 miles of Dogie Springs. I will grab coordinates. There you go. Hello, Wayne and all. Hey, Dallas, how's it going? No worky, or got worky done. No flowers to deliver, buddy. Good to see you, though. Do you know who or when the Siphon Draw Trail up the Flatiron was first when that was created or documented? You natives used it. I don't know about that, but because it's not much of a trail. Most of it is just you're just free bouldering, climbing. I don't know when it started getting used. Just people found a way up, wanted to get up there, which is what happens with a lot of things. I mean, somebody wanted to get up high. Why would indigenous people? I mean, that's a ridiculous cut because it'd be like that's a great lookout. How? They got all the way up there, and then it took them 2 hours to get down and then run across the desert to wherever they were camped at to tell everybody, hey, somebody's coming. But by then they would have been there. So I don't know. It's usually game trails, and I don't know if that would be necessarily game would get up there. I think it was just people through trial and error found a way and got up there. In early Phoenix, people would go up in dresses and dress shoes and stuff and climb things like that, trying to find ways up places, and then they became a thing. So Siphon Draw being up there, and you got to remember, see, there's one right there. The Flatiron was called Shiprock, and I don't think anybody refers to it as Shiprock anymore, but it looks more like the front of a ship coming out of the mountains than it does look like a flatiron. So the Flatiron was Shiprock, and don't think anyone's used that term probably in 25 or 30 years. Also, thank you for your wealth of knowledge. Well, I just share it. I'm AI. Well, that's good. We'll just call you Al because that's easier. You should switch the name, Donnie R, to Al. Back to work at 5. Oh, okay, so you got to go back to work. I'm sorry for you. At least I hope you're indoors the rest of the day. Now that they are mining again in the Tonto Forest, is that only for the rich? That's for the permitted. Smoke signals. Yeah. Where are you finding the wood up there? Yeah. It makes me think of cartoons because that's where we always get that stuff, is where people in the cartoons, they got that, they have the blanket and stuff and they're doing that, and then they make that over dramatic stuff. And yes, I don't think they were doing smoke signals from up there or mirrors or anything. I don't think anybody was up there. The one thing is you can hear in the mountains sound from a long ways away, and you can smell someone has a campfire from quite a distance. So I'm sure those were the things. And then dust, because you're a little higher elevation at the base of the mountain, so I'm sure those. I don't know. I'd have to go through. I don't know if it's considered an official trail. I think it's just a thing that people do. It's kind of like the Apache Kid Trail, known as the Wave Cave. I don't think that's an official trail. There's a trail there, but it's kind of off the trail. And yeah, I think that's one of those things, is just people wanted to go up the elevation. Instead of going up South Mountain, they wanted to go up there and look out from the east, and then people just started telling people and taking people up, and now it's become a thing. And now people think they can do it in 2-3 hours, and they take 5-6, or it gets late at night and they need rescued all the time. Wayne, smoke now. No. Hence the cigarettes. Peace pipes. There we go. Yeah, I just don't have any idea. I think it's, like the Apache Kid Cave, that one. Certain places became more the touristy things because it's not very deep in the mountains. It's very close. It's more accessible. Broadway Cave is like that. Trying to think of some others. They're just easier, short trips. Kearney Springs, obviously, with the Apache Kid Cave, Wave Cave area. and the has the mine, the Daysite mine in there, and then there's ruins in there. So, and the camps that went up the hill, that's the south end of going up, but that was probably a trail that was probably an Apache or Pima trail going up that side that I could see. I just don't see Siphon Draw as that. Yeah, I just don't see that. So, but I don't know if anybody could see me up there with a cigarette. Even though we saw the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards, we saw flashlights up in there because any given night you could look up there and see people that have completely lost all time, and it's 8, 9 o'clock at night, and they're trying to climb down those cliffs with flashlights. Imagine the people that don't go up with flashlights and get stuck up there. Smooth, calming, mellow tobacco. A delish. Please explain why you call Larry Hedrick the snake. And elaborate more on the falling out between him and Jack San Felice, if you could. Curious. He didn't have a falling out with Jack that I know of. It was with the guys that filmed the videos. Hedrick, a snake? He is a snake and a liar. Can't say much more than that. That was kind of brazen, but no, I don't think I don't know if Jack has a problem with Larry. He had a problem with the people that made the videos, and he quit doing the videos with them. Larry's just a hanger-on to that. It wasn't his thing. That was Charlie LeSueur and David Jones, and then Charlie died, so it'd be just David Jones. But Jack had a problem with stuff and said, I don't want to do that anymore, and that was that, and he was gone. He's still there. They still release footage of him over and over, but yeah, Jack quit a long time ago. But they still show stuff of Charlie and Hank too, and they're not really here either. I like a funny one was once someone posted, because I just saw Jack at the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards, and they talked how, Jack looks really good in that video. Well, it's like 8, 9 years ago. Yes, he looks pretty good 8, 9 years ago. Good, but yeah. So, yeah, Jack's looking fine for God. He's got to be in his mid 80s, getting towards the late 80s there and all. Where did the story about the red and blue stones used as an offering for Apache treasure start? I don't know. It's hard to say. The problem with so many stories is, are they really true, or did they just find a way into Mitchell's or Penfield's or somebody's stories? And, remember the guy, Henry Burns. Burns Ranch supposedly had been adopted and raised by the Apaches, where he wasn't. And then they put in all this garbage, and so people believe it. And then they think all these things. Between television and that was a huge problem I had with the television show, is we were doing something and we did several things, and I said, we're not doing anyone any favors with some of the stuff you guys are talking about or trying to the way you're trying to approach it. And I said, these guys don't know anything, so they're doing what you're asking them to do to some degree. Thank you for the coordinates, by the way. And so we're creating this weird thing, and I don't think it's right. I think you're trying to represent people properly for what's out there. The whole idea of scalping, that was basically, and I guess, Mexicans are part indigenous and part Spanish, but that came from them initially, and then other people, and the Apache kind of learned. It's people always confuses, like, the cruelty of one person or another is not unique to them, and I had a problem with their misrepresenting or for storytelling of trying to create and say certain things, and I didn't like that at all, because I think it's harmful, because some kid watches it, well, not many 15-year-old kids watched our show, let's face it, but a 15, 20-year-old person watches it, and now they're stuck with this. Oh, well, it's historically that must be correct, because they don't even teach Arizona history in Arizona anymore, which they used to. So you learned a lot of indigenous stuff about the Hopi, the Navajo, the Apache, the Yavapai, the Tohono O'odham. So you got a lot of it in school. Well, now you don't even get that, and it's just names on casinos, unfortunately. And so, great, we're putting this in people's heads like what people are like. And that's unfortunate because I don't think that's proper or right. I think it's, you tend to start looking at people differently. And then you have, I don't know, people that try to appropriate culture stuff. And that drives me crazy as well. So I always thought, I was always kind of tried to be respectful and really tried hard with the show. And I thought I did a good job. And I think I did a good job in the show as much as I could. I did have a couple meltdowns on things concerning that. And afterwards, I got invited to a lot of certain things, particular things on the res because of that. So I think I did okay. They asked me to be in California, some tribal council gathering. They wanted me to be the guest speaker. And my answer was, why the hell would you do that? Because I didn't think any of them would be interested in the Lost Dutchman mine. And I'm certainly not going to talk to them about their culture. What am I going to do? Because it was the tribes, I think there was like 7 tribes, and 2 of them I slightly recognized. So I was like, I'm not the guy for this. So, it was really, it's kind of an honor that, like, man, you guys think I'd be entertaining or whatever, or you're looking to stone me to death when I show up. Use tilt screen. The tunnels look spider webs. Okay, there's something white chimney maybe also the Rudd Tunnel. Okay, I will have to look at that. Thanks. I don't even know what I did. Don't see anything on Google, the location of any of the dates. Yeah, I'll have to follow that up later. I use Relief Maps app on Play Store than Google Earth. The best thing you can do is just go there physically. That's actually, I changing the subject. I don't know how much I can press upon people, and I know people can't show up. They live out of state, or they're not physically capable. But how different things are in your real eyes when you stand there and look at something compared to what you see on Google Maps and stuff. The old topo maps from the 20s, 30s, and 40s are actually sometimes more accurate than anything we have today, which is why I'm glad I kept all my older maps. But it's kind of a shame because people see things in the mountains, and then if they went out and went into not even the 3-dimensional model, which is ridiculously stupid, looks nothing like the mountains, but even the 2-dimensional stuff, it's like that's not how some of it looks. There was a woman, I hope she's not on here, she'll be insulted, but I'm going to throw this out. She said there was these bodies and she could see the skeletal remains in this canyon, and she was showing us all of them, and she was showing me this and this boulder and certain things, and I pointed out to her those skeletons would be like 30-40 feet tall. Are you talking giants? And she's like, no, we'll go down there. And she wanted to go down there. She said it'd only take us an hour, and I was like, lady, that's like a 2.5-hour hike to get there. And she wasn't, I'm going to put it mildly, in no condition to get there in a couple hours. And then it was going to be a concern getting her back out. And that was really problematic. So people, because they see stuff, they think that's what something is. And like I said, it's best to get someone, if you can't do it, find someone who'll put their feet on the ground and show you a picture of what you're looking at. Not seeing it, brother. Okay, that's a lot of Spanish in Arizona with the history than the Mexicans. Well, the Mexicans they're definitely dangerous. Everybody's dangerous. You're dangerous. I'm dangerous. Yeah, and the Mexicans, that's always strange. And then with even the Mexican people, because this was part of Mexico, obviously, at one point, but in Spain before that. But you got to have to remember then the Yaqui and a lot of groups that you think in terms of they're Mexicans, but they're not. They're indigenous groups, the Yaquis, who I always forget the name of the town. They were concentrated in. I should know this. I live here. Um, but what's the name of the town? Guadalupe. There it is. But yes, Guadalupe was settled by quite a contingent of Yaquis that were pushed. The Mexican government pushed them out, and they ended up here. So it's kind of crazy. Um, it's good to. There is a book I got, and I can't get to it, but I would love for people to read because it's a nice novel that is historically pretty damn accurate. That kind of explains a lot with the Spanish and what happened early on, and it kind of works a lot of this because everybody pushed everybody out at one time or another. Everybody was invaded and took something from someone else. Um, Online maps are dangerous. Yeah, they're very dangerous for people. Um, yeah, I use actually now when I'm in the mountains. I don't even take a book anymore. But what I do is on my phone. It has the satellite deal, and it gives me the GPS of where I'm at and shows me. And I know the mountains well enough to wherever I see I'm at, I can open it up and look and see where everything around me. Um, are there feral people in the Superstitions? No, this is not Deliverance. There's cannibals back there growing marijuana and hashish. No, 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 there's no. I've not run into feral people. There are people that have leaned that way a little, that stayed back there too long, but none of those people are really back in there. There's people that go back and stay for some serious periods of time, but there's no feral people. There's no little people and three-legged people and none of those. Have you heard of the Juniper Giant by Prescott? No. Does Wayne ever try gold panning Lynx Creek? Yes, Lynx Creek. Hacienda, yes. At Rich Hill, well, Rich Hill I didn't. Rich Hill I used to explore before everybody moved in and got their little properties and all that. It was wide open. All the old mines were wide open. I used to go up there all the time. In fact, when I worked nights, I would get up in the morning and put the kids in car seats in the Bronco, and then I would take them up, make bottles, give them bottles, and then take pictures and take samples and stuff and check them. I wasn't really panning or gold hunting. I was just trying to keep track of the mines and put what I found in different ones. I remember that the Hacienda, yeah, down by Constellation Camp and those areas. I used to pan in some of those areas when there was water. And then what was the other one? It was Lynx. In Lynx, we used to go up to the user area, but I've been also different areas along Lynx Creek with Woody Wampler, who that's his area and everything. So there you go. So it's like yes to all those, not any people in particular. Well, everybody's dangerous, and all places are dangerous, and people who are sometimes a danger to themselves. They don't really know what they're doing. They think they know what they're doing, and then they get something that makes them feel even more strongly they know what they're doing, and then things go bad for them fast. Look closer, man. It's there. Okay, we're still talking about that link I haven't read or seen. Think it's possible to use LiDAR info to print out a physical 3D map? I don't know. It's tricky. That which is a song by is it, no it, that's I'm confused. Okay, too much sun today to be funny. Have you personally ever heard of these bells by Bluff Springs? I've heard of the bells, the bell by north of Peralta Road in that area, not the bells of Bluff Springs. That's a new one. I know about the smelter by Bluff Springs. I don't know where it's at. Nobody's been able to find. Tom Collenborn found it. I know where it's supposed to be at. The bells of Bluff Springs. I do not. And I spent so much time up on that side of Bluff Springs and climbing up and down through there. I think I would have heard bells. Is this yeah, you'll have to explain that more. I live in Deliverance. Well, yeah, okay. Enough said about that. Yes, yes, this is, yeah, there's not feral people. Appalachia is got a lot of feral people in it. They can be very nice. Now, and a funny story I'll get to here in a second, make sure I get everything. It was changed when the Aztec and the Spanish made connection. Will subscribe. There you go. We have feral people in North Carolina don't whistle when hiking in the mountains. Sound of bells. Yeah, I've never heard the sound of bells in that area. Now, and I've been up there a lot. My dad's from a place, and it's called Hammond Run. It's in West Virginia. It's in the hills. He was a hillbilly. He was a West Virginia hillbilly, no doubt about it. And I've seen the house and the family's cemetery plot as you walk back up the hill behind there. And they're buried there. You don't walk over the graves because the ground was hard and they're not buried very deep in there. And so anyways, the way it goes is we walk in and those people can be very suspicious. My dad wanted to take me and show me the house he was born in, which burned down, but the house he grew up in, which was right across the street, because my dad said you just moved into whatever empty house was around. And he was, just kind of walking me through things. And my dad, being an old hillbilly, even though he's not a hillbilly anymore, just decided to walk up to these people's house and bang on their door. And man, I'm thinking, man, we're about to get smoked because you can see people peeking out and little children, and like they sent the women and children into the woods when we showed up. And it's kind of what you want and kind of this stuff. And I'm trying to it's like hard to understand. And then my dad's just talking to the guy and tells him who he is. And then next thing, we were like they were the nicest people in the world to us. Made sure they walked us up and told us how they were taking care of the cemetery of our folks and family and stuff. And it was a really kind of like a complete switch because my dad had grown up there. He had run through those hills. The family was well known. Most of those guys, a lot of their fathers had worked for my uncle at the mill. He had a lumber yard and a mill up there. And so they knew us, and it was crazy, but it was definitely, yes, a deliverance for a moment. And it was like, you want to stay, Danner? No, I'm fine. I think we're good. But it was cool to get to it and then see everything. And then my dad, they were so entertained because my dad was showing where the dog got ran over, where his groundhog used to sleep in the house and stuff. So it was absolutely where the outhouse was located. They actually had plumbing now. Well, they had a septic, but he was showing them where the old outhouse was. And he was like, there might be treasure down there because we lost plenty of things in there. But of course, he was so poor that they didn't lose anything of value. Sound of bells, though. No, I do not know that. Where is the chimney you and Randy found? Those series of X's on Bluff Springs. That was okay. You're mixing it up a bit. The chimney was what I climbed. Randy refused to climb the chimney. I won't say where that place is. Randy turned and went back. He went back down the cliffs and went around the far side. He never went to that spot. I saw the chimney and thought that was the better route to get to the top. I was kind of in a mood at that point. I'd lost some of couple of my water bottles, and I was really kind of like, I'm gonna get to the top. Randy and I put a yucca right through my I think it was my index finger. I stuck it right through my left index finger, right into the joint, and it was swelling up. I was just in a mood. And I just told Randy, I said, you know what? You go the way you're going. Now, we have pictures, and I don't know if they're ever posted or anything, but there was a picture of where I'm at, and I take a picture of him on the other side of this area, and he's over on this big boulder going up a different route. And he went up, and then I went up to the top, and I was kind of just shaking my hand off. Once I got up there, I was gassed. And I got up to the top, and I turned, and I was looking around, and I was thinking, well, I'm going to go find Randy in a minute. He'll come out. I'll see him, because it's pretty flat up there. And I thought, I'm going to turn and go south from where I was. And I was walking along, and I saw this couple little drop-offs, and I said, well, I'm going to go down and check that out. That looks interesting. And as I approached is when I saw the triangle on the first boulder. And I saw that, and I was like, that looks like a triangle. And I walked over, and then I threw some water on it. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Doesn't mean anything. doesn't have to mean anything. So then I walked down into the area, and that's where I found the sighting stone and the X and the calendar stone and a bunch of stuff in there. And I was pretty pumped up. So I took a bunch of pictures, and then I got out. I walked up the hill. I got back out, walked north, found Randy, showed him the pictures I took. He just went, "That's natural, that's nothing." And I went, "Oh." And he acted like he'd seen it before or something. And so I just blew it off. And so I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to take you down there, but you don't give a shit. Let's go head north." So we continued going north after that. So what happens is we finished, we got home, and what we would do is we would take pictures, and I would send him everything I had with him in it and stuff I had, and then he would send me all his pictures. So we'd both have each other's pictures and a complete, tutorial of the trip. And I sent Randy my stuff, and next thing I know is my phone's ringing, and Randy's like, "Where the hell did you see all that?" Because he was so tired and distracted, he didn't look at it clearly. He's like, "What was I thinking? Why didn't we go over there?" And I'm like, "I didn't know. I just wanted to show it to you." And you said no. So the chimney was like a chimney. It wasn't like a mine chimney type thing. It was a chimney to climb up in. There's an easier route to there, but I won't give the site up because I've never fully understood it. I've always wanted to make one last trip up there and check it out to see what it was. I know someone had dug something up there. That was obvious. And there was a bunch of other things, but I've never been able to resolve why all these little symbols were there, and I've never found it in any research. So that always puzzles me when you've never heard anything about a site, but it's a well-used site, and there's a lot of stuff that's been configured there. It makes you pause, because if someone did all that, someone had to run. And Tom Collmore had never known it. I told Tom where it was, and he never was able to get out there. But I told Tom where it was, and he looked at the pictures, and he had a kind of a weird look in his face. It's like, "You found that where?" And I told him, and he's like, I never ran across. And he'd been out there tons, so that was a kind of a strange one. Okay, we'll get back to catching up. In between Weaver's Needle and Peralta parking lot, okay? Closer to the parking lot. We're on Peralta Trail, I take it. Fifth distance is a hidden rock area of showings. Golden Triangle Rock, Rose, sacrificed after altar Wayne. You'd have to show me where it's at. 1/5 that's kind of like, there's a lot of stuff that's manipulated up in that area. Superstitions have eyes. Wish I could show Wayne. I'm sure that's what that video. There's a city block size elongated skull. Is that you, Shane? It sounds like a Shane Garrell thing, because he was just telling me about this huge, long, big skull. The first LA LaBarge Mountain looks like an entire mountain of melted butter rocks. Okay. Isn't a triangle a symbol for treasure? That's why that triangle that I saw got me. Because when I saw it, I poured water on it just to see it. And then kind of check to see if it was carved or natural. Because there are things that can be very natural, look like they're man-made. And then I was like, no, somebody did this on purpose. And I think it was a triangle with a dot. I'd have to go back and look at the picture. But I looked at it, and I was like, that means treasure. And that means, definitely treasure's really, really nearby. So I was like, So that's what made me step down into that area and start exploring it. And then I was just like, this is kind of a wild spot. No, I am Steve. I watch Shane's stuff. Yeah, well, that's good for you. Shane Garrell is a very nice guy. Very friendly, big smile, happy guy. There you go. Thank you guys for not giving those site coordinates publicly. Well, a part of it is it is, and I will admit, it's to protect the sites, which Tom and Greg and people like that taught me that. They said, as long as one or two people know where it's at, nobody else has to know sometimes. And then that person can investigate and they can share it with someone else. So there's a lot of these sites. They won't get lost because they are recorded, and Trevor will know where they're at and stuff. So there is that. Some of them Randy knows about. So that became a thing of like, not the keeper of secrets, I don't think, but more of too many times things have been destroyed or torn up or kind of a train wreck happened. Next thing you know, the guy's in there with a spray paint can. And so it was preservation of things. I know, I'm trying to think of who it was. Thomas Glover went with a group from ASU that recovered a bunch of pots. Because sometimes we worry that they might get it, so we talk to the archaeology groups. Generally, there was a spot out by Second Water where there was an alcove, and there were some arrows in there. It looked like somebody had been shaping arrows and, making arrowheads. And it was all to the side. And someone had told me about it. I found it. I was able to figure out where it was. And they were it was probably a place they were staying off the ground, staying up, being able to keep an eye on the area. They may have hunted. It might have been kind of worked as a hunting blind for whoever. And I didn't touch anything, and I sat there. I think I have a picture of it. I know someone else had a picture of it. I can't remember who told me. And I was just like, okay, that's cool. And, I just left it be. Well, I went later, and I can't remember who I went with, but I thought, I'm not really interested in stuff. That person was a good person, and I wanted them to kind of know where it was and say, hey, you go back in this area, so you should keep an eye on certain things and let us know if something happens. And I kind of like took them up there, and then the stuff was gone. So someone took it or threw it out or did something stupid, and I was kind of like, man, that's sad, because now the stuff's gone. So that's one of the other reasons, is when you find something, is it really important? Is it not? You wait and see. The Clayworth story of where he's in a chimney of rock over by Peters Mesa, and he's bored in Clay. I have Clay on tape. I don't know if we've ever released that, where Clay's talking about he didn't know what he was thinking. He just carved this cross into the wall of the chimney. Well, it was crazy because Crazy Jake later thought that had something to do with Jesuit treasure in the area. And Clay was just like, thought it was hilarious that it had been his idle hands one day that had carved that cross. That happens a lot. So you wait for stories, and then you ask around about some things. But that one spot, man, no one's ever come up with anything about that. I see we're going... Shane is using a swamp fan to paraglide. Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay. You made a lot of people smile and other people laugh. Then a few people went, damn. The feral people live in Apache Junction. Just ask David Spade. Okay, if there was a prize for the joke of the day, that was it. Yeah, and then for those of you who don't know, David Spade is from Scottsdale and from the area. It's a funny joke unless you live in Apache Junction. I'm back in Gold Hill, Oregon. There you are. And my friend Leonard Smith is dying from kidney cancer. Very sorry to hear that. He has 6 months to live. I'm helping with cooking, cleaning, researching, looking for work. I don't know. Sad times. That's sad, yes. When people get a expiration date put on them, and then they need care. Thank you for taking care of your friend. My parents live 45 minutes north of Aravaca. Okay. Yeah, I just did that story on that one down there. The Black Princess. I found Wayne's hidden Aravaca treasure. I spotted red swastika. I don't know if it had a red swastika. I think that one's going to be, if you're talking about the Black Princess one, that's going to be up in somewhere on the Black Princess area. And I think it's just going to be a natural deposit, and they were just pulling from that. I don't think they were mining that. Just wanted to say hi, Wayne. Well, hello. Oh, okay, it's Lacey. Everyone's back. Oh, okay. Lacey's bartending. She's mixing the drinks, and everybody's partying it up. So there you go. Okay, we'll serve those drinks. Hopefully they tip their bartender and waitresses. Leprechauns. I bred a leprechaun, Trevor. That's why I talk to you, Wayne. I don't think you're a claim jumper. No, I don't jump claims. I'll go help you dig, but I wouldn't claim jump anybody. Good for anyone else that finds anything. Why bother? It's to some degree is You know, I don't know. If I walked in and you showed me you had this mine, and I walked in there, and there was this hematite quartz seam, and it had millions upon millions of dollars worth of gold, I wouldn't claim jump. I'd just take a bunch of the gold and leave. So, but I don't know. Most of the time, people are so afraid of sites and stuff. You're trying to be protective of sites, but you're trying to understand sites and document sites. And that's the only problem with the internet is a lot of people find things like Gato. There's the Gato stones all through the Superstition Mountains, and there's the Peralta ones that say Peralta on them all over the Superstitions. And in neither case do I think they're really real or that old. They're old. They're becoming old as time goes by. My first taste of Apache was a guy sleeping on a couch in a ditch next to a stop sign. That would have been Salvador. Dig a deal. Probably. Bob Ward believed in Jesuit treasure. What Rick Gwynn told me, straight hand as I type. There you go. What I learned from Gwynn was I asked Rick just quietly one day because of a lot of stuff I went through of Bob Ward's, and I said, you know, there's a few weird things here, and I said I just ran into a couple odd things. Did Bob have any interest in like the Templars? And Rick looked at me funny and said, oh yeah, Bob really thought there was a Templar treasure in the Superstitions. He said, but he didn't talk about it. And he's like, where did you get this from? And I said, I was just going through a bunch of his stuff. And I ran into several things. And it showed me that he had an interest in the Templars. And I found that kind of out of the ordinary for him. So Ward, I don't know about the Jesuits, but Ward definitely, very quietly, had a thing for the Templars out there. And sometimes treasure hunters will do that. They'll throw things out there and you'll think that's what they were into. And then you find out, maybe not. There were 3 couches in the trash everywhere. Well, the trash wouldn't be, you know, he's not like that. Learn to pan from Woody. Good for you. That's the best way to learn. He made a great impression on my young son. He makes a great impression on a lot of people. He's such a good guy. Salvador is a legend. Miss the guy's videos. Salvador, he just did this couple things with Terry Carter. So Salvador is too hard to understand in video. But I liked hanging out with Sal. But that being said, and I got to look at where we're at in time. Oh man, we flew by. Where was I going back to? Not the Bob Ward thing. The Apache Junction thing. Sal used to sleep on a pallet in a sewer drain. So you know that. But no, it was before that. And no, it was after that. Oh my God, we got too many things going in too many different directions. Rick has a big heart. Well, he had a big heart. Believe it or not. Woody is all business, or is it vice versa? Nah, Woody's not. No, he's not all business. You got that wrong. Woody's all business, but he loves to teach people, and Woody's got a big, huge heart. Really solid guy. Love you, big guy. Rick was the guy that said, "Hey, I need $20. I'm broke, and I want to grab some dinner." And you go, "Here's $20." And then later you run into Rick and say, "How was dinner?" And Rick says, "I didn't eat because Sal needed $20." And he just gave Sal the $20. That was Rick. Sal's like that. Yeah, Woody's got a big freaking heart. He's a super nice guy. Woody's probably given away more gold and shown people more spots that had gold and let them just kind of jump in and pan it out more than any combined group of people. It's amazing to me. Is like he'll find something and he'll say, "This has probably got really gold. See, you can see there's some gold in here," and I'll see that. Then he'll just eventually, you go, "Whatever happened to that, Woody?" He goes, "Oh, I gave it to one of them." It's like, Woody, I wanted to check it out. So Woody has a tendency like that. I think the Dutchman claimed jumped the gold. Nobody's claim is hidden forever. Well, somebody could have got it. We just don't know. And it's the caches we have the directions mainly too. But I don't know. There's stuff that's still hidden. People still dig stuff up. That's what's kind of crazy. And I will say this: we were out by the Barkley Basin, and we were getting ready to film Legend of the Superstition Mountains, and these guys were kind of just doing B-roll with stuff. And this is in the pilot show, which never aired. And we're walking across, and I ran across a pit house with stone tools and stuff, and I was just like, what the hell? And I was, because at first I'm thinking, oh, I'm just kind of matrixing this whole thing because it looks like it. And then I realized, no, it's a pit house. It's stone lined. And I'm looking at it and looking it around, and I'm finding these stone tools, and it was really incredible. And they filmed some of it, and I told them this is pretty significant. When we went back to the Quarter Circle U, I made sure that Dean, who was the caretaker at the time, got a hold of Chuck and Judy Backus to find out from them if they'd ever been aware of it. I talked to Jack Carlson, and Jack Carlson and I think Steve Bowser, and I can't remember, I think Dick Walp went out there. They went out to check it out because I gave them the coordinates and told them, well, I didn't give them the coordinates. I told them about where it was, and I said, just go out, head down, go over this way. And I said, you cross in the desert this direction, and you'll run across it. And they ran into a bunch of other pit houses and other tools and stuff. Nobody had ever known that stuff had been out there. And we're talking not only hundreds, but thousands of years. And this stuff was just sitting there. It was, and when you walked up to it, you were just like, huh. So there's always something to be discovered. By the time we discover all the old discoveries, there'll be more. So I would disagree with that statement of saying there's too many times we've found things, and there's times people find things and then boom, they lose them again or misunderstand them. Someone could have very well found the Lost Dutchman and said, wow, it looked like somebody was mining here and all this stuff, but it's not the Dutchman because it doesn't fit what they heard from Dick Holmes' version. So they forgot about it and walked right over it and just blew it off. So there you go. Woody says when he pans all his worries, he enjoys panning. That man can pan. Just leave the thing running like Snoop Dogg and pretend you forgot to turn this off. Oh. The Dutchman clean. Okay, now we got to that. Now we're back to the rich moving into the forestry. Woody says, okay. Woody says his problems go away when there's the water flowing through the shoe box. Woody's just like in Nirvana when he's panning and when he's teaching people to pan. Hopes Al will show up at Rendezvous with a giant emerald. Doubt it. We did present him with a giant piece of rock that was supposedly broken off his piece of emerald in that mine, and he refuted it. So that was at the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards. This was probably 6 or 7, 8 years ago. Woody is a really cool guy. Talked to him at Rendezvous this year. The Dutchman bodies are at Yellow Peak. It's a stone throw from Weaver's Needle, northwest. It's not a stone's throw. Yellow Peak isn't a stone's throw. Oh, man. That's a stone throw? You got one hell of an arm, buddy. You're getting it over Palomino and Blacktop, too, to get there, huh? Emerald's great, but can crumble if not handled delicately. One emerald splits into 2 earrings. Okay, Angel Basin is my favorite. Angel Basin is a very pretty place, very nice place. Oh, by the way, I did this day in the Superstitions about Ron Feldman breaking his arm, and I have the scoop, because I asked Ron. What it was is he was tying up the horses and stuff, making, the line and having the horses tied up, made sure everything was good to go, and he tripped and fell and broke his arm, and he stumbled over, came down awkwardly on his arm, broke it. He wasn't pulled out of there. They took, what was it? Jane Feldman said they took a mattress, like an air blow-up mattress thing or foam, and wrapped it around it, and then he left and he rode out on his own. There you go. I think someone needs an Adderall. Yeah, probably. No, I just watch Wayne's videos, lots of questions. If you're standing on Weaver's Needle, you can throw that far. No, you can't, okay? See, this is where people get in trouble because they think distances are far shorter. It's why I don't like to lead these hikes. We did Garden Valley, we did Barks Canyon, which went pretty well, some people. But people always struggle. You can't vet everybody. You can't say, well, you can't go. But the problem is, you say, well, let's go to Blacktop and let's go up and look at the petroglyphs on Blacktop, or if you want to call them Spanish markings. And let's go do that. that's kind of a bit of a walk, and a bit of a walk to get there and up the hill and across blacktop to them and to get back out. And just getting to Kamalo's camp's a good walk and all. And you take people and they think they can do it. They can't. We had several rendezvous hikes like that where people were not physically capable of what we thought were easy hikes, and they just problems happen. You don't want someone to, because of their pride or anything, to have a problem or get hurt or get sick or something, and that happens. So that's why I don't do those things. And yes, you can't throw a rock from Weaver's Needle. I can throw. I don't know of anybody. Have you tried Xanax? No, I don't take any drugs whatsoever. Angel Basin has a gnarly stargazing campsite. Yeah, well, but it's a good area because there's no city lights really from that area still. Yeah, Angel Basin's really good because you got the enclosure of the mountains and you see the dark sky. And like right now, the Don's Camp, I remember just the Don's Camp used to be pitch black and there was no aura from the city. I mean, now you see the glow of the city lights coming around the mountain and stuff. I remember when you were at the Don's Camp, it was like a billion stars once the sun went down, and that's gone. And that's a shame that much light. I mean, I am a person in favor of dark sky, which means less street lighting, less overnight lighting to some degree, or reduced lighting that faces down and doesn't get up into the atmosphere, because we've lost the stars because of that. It took me 8 hours overnight, damn, to walk 15 hours. Okay, and I couldn't stop. Well, okay, yeah. So what we've concluded today is that I won't tell anybody where that X was. You can't throw a rock from Weaver's Needle to Yellow Peak. No, can't do that. Jack got mad at Charlie LeSueur and David Jones and quit doing videos. Came for the videos, stayed for the show. That does happen. Does happen. Which is probably, that's Glenn being the guy that's giving me the cue, saying, hey, you're probably done. The heat is going to ruin a lot of hiking. Hopefully the weather will come back in. Hopefully we get a cold front and it drops the temperature here in a couple weeks. I can't see it sustaining this way. We are literally in June heat in March. So I think it's definitely going to have to cool down again. Or maybe we get an early heat and we get an early cool down. That would be awesome. What orientation, north or south, are two peaks on Weaver's Needle? North or south are the two peaks? Well, I don't know. If you're looking from the southeast up at Weaver's Needle, it's like three peaks. I always say it's like an eagle. It goes like this. And I guess if you're more in Barks Canyon, it would be two peaks, right? Or is it only one at that point? I think it's two peaks there, three peaks on Bluff Springs, and as you turn, they all change. Because Weaver's Needle looks like what you see from the north, the kind of one big peak shape. That isn't representative all the way around. Now, if you're way south and kind of to the west and you see it from like Queen Valley, it has that shape again. But it's actually distinctively different peaks together. And if you've ever seen a picture, if you've ever seen it from up on Bluff Springs, it looks completely different than it does from the north. Okay. Wayne, there is a very special spot I found. I really have to relay to you. Mountain is a giant stick man paintings in a massive heart stone in the water. I've memorized. Okay. You need one of those little ponies like they show on the stone maps. That actually, the second place for best joke of the day, a little pony. I need a little pony. A little pony. Or a burro. A small burro, a burrito. Highest points, peaks. Okay, the highest points, peaks. Yeah, like I said, it's it does that eagle thing, and I'm trying to picture in my head, because I know when you look from Barks, I think it's in Barks or one area in there, and then your view from like One Tree Hill is like what you think it looks like, and then as you shift around going east, it breaks into two and three parts. And I'm trying to think, it might be two on the south end of Bluff Springs, and then about midway it turns into three peaks. That's what I know. That's what I've always seen, because it is formally still Weaver's Needle shape of what you think when you're at um, the pass, Fremont Pass. So when you're there, it still looks like Weaver's Needle. They're reversed. When you're on the north side, it does. When you're on Blacktop, it does. But when you're on Bluff Springs, it turns into two and three different peaks. There you go. Thank you again, Wayne. No problem. Arizona folks, stay cool. Everybody just stay out of the mountains for a few days, and let's hope everything cools down. Have to park at Tortilla on the lake. Farther allow the rangers block the area of Fish Creek, right? No, well, I don't know. You can just drive in the road. Up there is a meandering pathway to the Stickman Mountain. Thank you, Wayne. Have a great week. Good seeing some of y'all again. Y'all. Haha. See y'all next time. Haha. Glad to see you and Lacey got home. David, yeah, I'm sorry your trip didn't go as planned. We'll see you again the next time you come out. Well, I didn't see you this time, so hopefully next time I'll actually get to see you. And you guys get to spend a little time doing something fun. And instead of just don't run around, run yourself to death. Come out and just do something fun and give yourself free time, because there's so many other things to do. That being said, and let Lacey know you can go to Greg's, go through the archives, and if you do that, the cool thing is, David, there's no snakes in there. Greg has no snakes in his house, so there you go. What lost feature, discovery, or location intrigue you most? Well, we're kind of at the end. Thanks for that explanation. Yeah, I mean, you have to be up, if you get up on the Bluff Springs Ridgeline, because I don't think Google Maps or Earth show it correctly. I'll have to find something for next time, some pictures that we can kind of show so you can see it from those perspectives and see how it does that. Really, like I said, when I'm at midway on Bluff Springs looking over at it, it's a three peak. It looks like an eagle, like a head. It doesn't have a beak, but it's like a big head, and then it has two lower peaks on either one on each side. What lost feature, discovery, or intrigue you the most? Lost feature, discovery, or location? I've always been really kind of thought the coolest was the Cave of the Bronze Cross, because it was found so early on that it was kind of like, what the hell is that? There was mining tools. There was a lot of stuff discovered in the area, and Tom's dad had found it, and there's some photographs of it, not in the public domain, but it's really interesting because later, when the Feldmans were able, through the heat dig, to show the Spanish having been in the Superstitions, it's one of those things that I always wonder, what could it mean or be a bigger part of? Because Tom's dad could never resolve it. Tom could never resolve it. It was always it's probably, but why is there, what was it, a 2 by 3 foot copper cross driven into the rock in a cave up in the mountains that's discovered in the late 1920s? That's just kind of odd. And it became well known, but very few people have ever seen it or the photographs of it. But it was a very real thing. It was very interesting. And but what would be its purpose? There you go. Gilgold Prospecting, bug it out. See you next week. There you go, Dr. Pepper. We didn't drink to Bob Ward. We have to give one up to Ward. Giddy up and go. Our silver mines that became dried up. Yeah. And the real Wayne Tuttle missing Clayworth. I miss Clayworth. I think we'll miss Bob Corbin. There's just so many people you miss over time. Joe Roboto, all these guys, Dan Hopper, Rick Gwynn. I mean, it's not that you want them back one time. It would just be great to have them back to hang out with because we had so much fun sitting around and talking and just they were friends. And that's kind of the thing you miss the most. It's not just the wealth of knowledge. I just liked sitting around. It was cool at the rendezvous times when Tom and Sharon would bring Bucky and he would be barking and Greg would get pissed at Bucky barking and all. It was kind of fun. You know, there was giggles, shits and giggles and good times, but it was friends. That's the stuff you kind of miss. So, all right. So there we go. To Bob. Yeah, and I didn't even drink. I kept talking. Thank you, everybody, for joining us from sea to shining sea. I'm going to get out of here. I got my finger on the button. March 26th. I got the lecture. Then we're also coming up. We're gonna see. I'm really excited about this, and I don't know if anybody else is, but it's from my generation thing. We're going back to the moon, and I'm pretty stoked on this. I've been so disappointed they've been delaying that crap. I want to see, with modern photography and cinema, them going to the moon. I want to see it now so bad. I don't think there's UFO bases. I don't think any of this crap. I just really want to see them going to the moon and see the footage and stuff we get back. It's going to be literally this time like being there, and I'm just stoked on that. So I'm not a space guy. I don't want to go to Mars. I don't want to go up in a shuttle. I don't want any of that. Oh yeah, and a toast to Chuck Norris. That is right. Chuck Norris, 86 years old, went in for some surgery or something, had a little health emergency, and he is gone. Chuck Norris. Finally, death got a hold of Chuck Norris. So that's unfortunate, man, because it seemed like that guy was going to live forever. But yeah, Chuck, old Chuck, Charles Norris, or Carlos. Remember, his name was Carlos. It wasn't Charles. It was Carlos Norris. Anyways, goodbye, Chuck, and hello, everybody else, and everyone have a great and solid, great weekend. Someone talking about something else, but I'll get out of here. I'll get those coordinates and look at those coordinates we talked about earlier on back there. Everyone have a great weekend. Catch our next Chasing Legends on Monday. Thanks for supporting the channel, and we will catch you next time. OSHA regulations in these whole hobo holes. Raindrops of smoke crawling out. There you go. Well, it was a thing. It was a brand new pack too. That really sucked. All right, everybody. Here's the Chuck, and we could have talked for the whole hour about Chuck Norris films. So, which one was the best Chuck Norris film? And that would have been quite the clowning thing. Would have been cool. But anyways, we'll save that maybe for the next time. So until then, everybody, have a good one. We will catch you later. Adios, amigos.